Welcome back, Book Dragons. I'm so glad you're here with me. Have you ever wanted to find new and creative ways to get more reading done? Well, this is the video for you because I am going to be sharing 12 reading hacks that I think are really clever ways to help you get more reading done. A lot of them have been helpful to me, and I'm sure they'll be helpful to a lot of you out there as well. So, are you ready? Here we go. Hack number 1 is take your book everywhere. Now, I know that's easier said than done depending on the size of the book and where you're going and what's going on, especially if you like to take care of your books like I do. There's certain books that you probably don't want to take with you camping or on a scuba diving adventure. There's just some places that you don't take a book. But there are other places that you can read a book besides in the comfort of your own home. So a lot of times when I'm out and about, if I know I'm going to be at the motor vehicle department, for instance, I will bring my book with me, because if you know the motor vehicle department like I know the motor vehicle department, they take forever to get you out of line. So I'll have a book with me and I can get some reading done while I'm waiting. Or maybe you go out for dinner just by yourself, nobody else around, and you've got time to read while you're waiting on your food to come. There's lots of different times when you might be able to read a couple of pages here and there out and about away from home. So that's hack number 1. Bring your book with you wherever you possibly can. And I'm going to put my glasses on at this point because, got to make sure that I don't miss any points here on my list. Hack number 1 was easy, but I want to make sure I don't miss any of the others. Hack number 2, use ebooks and audiobooks. Now, maybe you're the type of person that does not like anything but the physical book, and I get that. I totally understand that. But if you don't mind ebooks and audiobooks, those are a lot easier to carry around with you, especially if you're trying to do hack number 1, to take your book with you wherever you go. It makes a lot of sense to use ebooks and audiobooks as a way to supplement that. If I'm doing a long distance drive, an audiobook is really awesome because you can read a book while you're driving in your car, and you might be able to polish off 1 or 2 books depending on the length of the book. Or if you've got a big epic novel like Lord of the Rings, for instance, that you've been trying to catch up on, you can take the audiobook with you in the car while you're driving. So that's a really good option. Ebooks are another great option as well, because you can have all of those on one device. Maybe it's your phone, maybe it's an e-reader. Whatever it is, you've got all of those books readily available to you, and they don't take up that much space. So I highly recommend using ebooks and audiobooks as a way to hack your reading and get more books read. Hack number 3 is to turn off distractions. Now, that's easier said than done. I know, especially if you've got a lot going on, if you're very busy, you're getting a lot of notifications on your phone and things like that. If you are reading ebooks on your phone, for instance, it's especially hard to concentrate because you might have notifications going off left and right on your phone. Now, I personally turn off all notifications on my phone permanently, with the exception of a few apps. It's very rare that I have notifications for anything else other than text messages, phone calls, things like that. So that doesn't mean it's easy for me to not get distracted, because, there's that whole thing of, oh, I wonder if this person replied to me. Oh, maybe I should go check this. So if you're wanting to eliminate distractions, I highly recommend turning off notifications on your phone, and maybe even setting aside your phone in a place where you don't have access to it while you're trying to read. So turning off those distractions can be a big deal. One of the things that helps with that is actually having an e-reader. So I have a Kindle right now. I have the Amazon Kindle Paperwhite, and I love this. I can take it with me wherever I go, which helps with hack number 1. But it also helps with this hack because if I'm reading my Kindle, I don't have a bunch of notifications going off telling me what somebody just said on Facebook or telling me that my child just texted me. Things like that. I don't have those notifications going off. Now, granted, I may hear my phone go off, right? But if I'm immersed in a page, I might be like, I'll check my text message in just a minute. Let me finish this page or let me finish this chapter. So having an e-reader or, a regular physical book can help with that because you don't have notifications going off all the time. So eliminate those distractions, and that will definitely help you get more reading done. That's been huge for me, guys. All right, hack number 4 is book size. It's a lot easier to have books readily available when, let's say, you're packing for a trip. You can pack a mass market paperback, and I've got my copy of Fragile Things by Neil Gaiman here, my favorite author. I can pack this a lot easier than I can, say, Fire and Blood by George R. R. Martin. This is just a big chunky boy, and it's not going to easily fit in my suitcase or in an overnight bag if I'm just going away for the night. That's going to really weigh down my bag, and it's going to be less appealing to take with me. So book size is going to be a big deal when it comes to hacking your reading. It's going to be a lot easier for you to pick up a mass market paperback. Now, there are disadvantages to mass market paperbacks as well, though, because, it's kind of annoying if you're wanting to read the book. You're kind of having to hold it open while you're reading it versus a hardback is going to be more floppy and it's going to stay open without you having to hold it. So they've definitely got pros and cons, but I love that as a reading hack to be able to have a smaller book that I can easily grab and just take with me. Okay, and hack number 5 is to have a TBR jar. A lot of people have TBR jars, and it's a great way to force them to read random books that they've had on their list for a long time that maybe they just keep getting distracted by other books and they don't pick it up for whatever reason, but they bought it with the intention of reading it. I know that's happened to me. I've got a ton of physical books on my bookshelf that I have not read, and so I got my Stein of Power, and every month I pick a random physical book in my collection that I have to read for that month. And so the TBR jar is a great way to hack your reading. All right. Hack number 6 is to have a special place that you always enjoy doing your reading. And I have a few of those. My favorite spot to sit and read is on my sofa, but I also read at work. One of the benefits of my job is that if there's downtime, they allow us to kind of do whatever we want to do to make the time go by. So I often get a lot of reading done, or at least most days I do, when I'm working. And so, I'll be sitting at my work desk here and sitting reading my book. So that's a favorite spot for me as well. Every now and again, I like to go to a coffee shop just to get a little bit of a change of scenery, and I'll do some reading there. So there's lots of great places that you can read, especially if you've got a nice comfy chair that you like to sit in. That makes all the difference. As long as it's not too comfy, because then you're going to fall asleep and you're not going to get any reading done. So that's one of the reasons I don't recommend reading in bed, because you're going to fall asleep, and 'cause that's what bed is for. But I do like to read in bed on occasion. If I'm really immersed in a book, I'll be like, well, I really need to go to bed, but I can't put the book down, so I'll take the book to bed with me and read for a few more minutes while I fall asleep. So it happens, but find yourself a really good place that you can get some reading done, and it's comfortable for you and you enjoy the experience. Okay, and the next hack number 7, is active reading. And that's just engaging with the text. It might be asking questions or making predictions. or summarizing key points. Summarizing key points is helpful if you're reading nonfiction. I don't know that it really works that well for fiction, but making predictions definitely works well for fiction. So it's always cool to kind of brainstorm and think, okay, where could this story be leading? And what might this character do next? And that's a really great way to keep you engaged with the book you're reading and make the experience more enjoyable. Okay, and hack number 8 is what I like to call chunking. And that is breaking down what you're reading into smaller, more manageable sections. So you might decide that you're only going to read 20 pages today. So you sit down, you do your 20 pages. Hey, that's great. I'm done for the day. Or maybe you do those 20 pages and you realize there's only 2 pages left in the chapter, so you fudge a little bit and you get those extra 2 pages in. But you've broken it down into a more manageable section, and that helps with retaining information, it helps with time management, it helps a wide variety of things to break it down into those sections. And hack number 9 kind of goes along with that, but in hack number 9, you're setting a chapter goal. So you might sit down and say, okay, I'm going to read 4 chapters in this book today. And so that's another way to hack your reading, is to set chapter goals. And one thing that really helps with chunking and setting chapter goals is if you've got short chapters. I know me personally, I love short chapters as opposed to really long chapters. I've had books where I've been reading my book on my Kindle and it says, oh, you've got an hour and a half left in the chapter. I'm like, what? No. I don't want to sit for an hour reading one chapter. I mean, I do. I've done it. But it's much nicer to have smaller chapters. So that definitely helps if you're going to be chunking or if you're going to be setting chapter goals. You can get through a lot more chapters if you know the chapters are short. So if the chapters are short, you might be able to say, okay, so my chapter goal today is 5 or 6 chapters. Or maybe I'm going to get 10 chapters read if they're only like 4 or 5 pages long. So that really helps to hack your reading and kind of hack your mindset about reading, because if you're going into a chapter that you know is 40 or 50 pages long, you might be like, oh gosh, I really don't want to read today. Whereas if the chapters are short, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I can read 5 or 6 chapters. That's great. So it hacks your mindset as well. So let's move on to hack number 10. And that is to create yourself a reading schedule. Now, this doesn't work for everybody, but if you're a highly detail-oriented person, setting a reading schedule could really work for you. Now, me personally, I am not a super detail-oriented guy. I'm a total type B personality, if you know what that is. I fly by the seat of my pants, but I do kind of default to a reading schedule because I always know that I can usually get reading done in the morning for maybe an hour before work, or if work happens to not be super busy, I might be able to get extra reading time done at work before the afternoon hits, because that's when all the people start climbing into chat and everything like that. So I can usually get reading done during the first part of my shift. So I kind of fall into that default schedule of, okay, I'm going to read until 1 p.m. today, and then I'm just going to stop for the day because I know things are going to be starting to get busy. I haven't really set a specific reading schedule, but it kind of defaults to that. And you may be the type of person that set yourself a specific reading schedule every single day. Okay, I'm going to read from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. today, and that's going to be my set reading time every day. And maybe on the weekends you want to sleep in and you're like, okay, I'm going to read from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday. So setting a reading schedule for yourself can be a lot of help for some people. Let's move on to hack number 11. And that is to join a book club, readathon, or buddy read. A lot of my friends on BookTube love doing readathons and book clubs, and that's just fantastic. Those have never really worked for me personally because it just seems kind of too restrictive. You know, maybe the book club is reading a book that I don't want to read that month, or maybe the readathon that's going on is too restrictive with the reading prompts. So those haven't really appealed to me for that reason, but they work for a lot of people and a lot of people love them. What I do love is buddy reads. I've done lots of buddy reads, and some people that you buddy read are just going to fly through a book and they're not going to want to stay to a certain pace. And other times you're going to have people that are really structured in their buddy reading, and they want to do chapter goals or section goals, and then, okay, you can't read anymore because we need to stop here and talk about it. And all of those types of situations work good. You just have to figure out what works for you and what kind of buddy read format you're willing to participate in. And I've had some really great discussions with buddy reads and made a lot of deeper bonds over books that I've been buddy reading. So it's been a really awesome experience. And so if book clubs or readathons or buddy reads sound really appealing to you, maybe those would be good ways to hack your reading. And now I'm going to talk about the final hack. This is hack number 12. And this one seems kind of obvious, but it's to read what you want, not what other people are telling you to read, and not necessarily what's popular. Don't get yourself into a rut just because you want to read what everybody else is reading, because that book might not be for you, or it might not be the right timing for you to read that book. So reading what you want is a great reading hack, because if you read what you want to, you're going to enjoy your time reading a lot better. I read a lot of fantasy, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I read mystery. And, you know, a lot of people that are YouTube experts will tell you to really dial down your niche and only focus on one or maybe two things. And I'm satisfied just being a book lover who happens to read mostly fantasy, but I still enjoy sci-fi, I enjoy mysteries, I enjoy thrillers, I enjoy a nonfiction book on occasion. It's so important to read what you want, not what everybody else tells you to read. Now, that doesn't mean you can't go with people's recommendations, right? You may see somebody do a book review and think, oh, that book sounds like just what I need to read right now. And so you can go with that recommendation, but it's because you're reading what you want to, and not what other people are telling you should read. So ultimately, read what you want, and that is going to be the best case scenario for hacking your reading. I hope this has been helpful, guys. That is the last hack that I have. Let me know in the comments below some of your hacks. I would love to know ways that you have found to make your reading experience better and make you want to read more and spend more time reading. I would love to know what you use to motivate yourself and to give you more opportunities to read. Please let me know in the comments below. And until next time, guys, make sure you're reading more books, and hopefully some of these hacks will help you do that. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank my patrons. All of your support really means a lot to me, and I'm so glad you've joined the team.